Its towers rose above the dense Cambodian jungle, their silhouettes piercing through the mist that slowly lifted with the first light of dawn. For centuries, every wall, carving, and moat of Angkor would have been studied in exhaustive detail. Or so we believed. Through the white veil of morning, 5 towers emerged like stone lotus, buds reaching toward heaven itself. Angkor Wat, the largest religious monument ever built, stood as a temple so vast it could be seen from space. For nearly 900 years, it has endured as a monument to human ambition, devotion, and architectural genius. Pilgrims once filled its corridors. Empires rose and fell in its shadow. Armies marched past its gates. And through it all, the temple kept its silence. Yet beneath that silence, something waited. In 2019, ground-penetrating radar revealed what generations of archaeologists had only whispered about: a sealed vault hidden directly beneath the central sanctuary, untouched for almost 9 centuries. The scans revealed reinforced chambers and corridors made of denser stone than the temple above them, the geometric precision of which suggested a deliberate design. This wasn't any foundation, nor was it a cache of ceremonial relics. It was something deliberately hidden, meant to stay that way forever. At dawn, the temples of Angkor glow in gold, their bas-reliefs alive with celestial dancers and the triumphs of god-kings. Tourists capture perfect reflections in still pools. Monks chant softly in saffron robes. Yet beneath the beauty, something ancient stirs not spirits, but history itself, demanding to be heard. Modern science has peeled back the jungle's secrets, stripping away centuries of concealment. What uncovered did not confirm the legends of divine empire, it rewrote them. And the question that now haunts every archaeologist who has peered inside is this: if the Khmer Empire built monuments to proclaim their greatness, why did they also build monuments to hide their darkest truths? The vault has been opened. What was found therein cannot be hidden any longer. To understand what's beneath Angkor, one must first comprehend what rises above it. In the 12th century, as Europe raised rough castles atop hills, the mighty Khmer Empire constructed an unequal metropolis, as large as modern-day Manhattan, that would have no peer until after the Industrial Revolution. At its apogee, Angkor sprawled over more than 1,000 square kilometers and held nearly 1 million people more than any European city of its time. At its sacred heart rose Angkor Wat, commissioned by King Suryavarman II as the ultimate declaration of cosmic power. Imagine the labor. Decades of backbreaking work under a sun that could kill, sandstone blocks weighing up to 1,500 kilograms hauled from mountains 40 kilometers away by river and elephant. 5 million tons of stone fitted together with such precision that mortar was barely required. Workers fainted and sometimes never rose again under suffocating humidity. Yet the temple continued to rise. The engineering at Angkor defies its age. The temple sits at the heart of an enormous hydraulic network, moats dug to exact depths, reservoirs stretching for miles, and canals that regulated water across the city. It was more than irrigation. It was a divine order made physical. The moat that encircles Angkor Wat is 190 meters wide and forms a perfect rectangle, symbolizing the cosmic ocean around Mount Meru, the center of the Hindu universe. Every line and angle mirrored celestial geometry. At its peak stood the king, not merely mortal but Devaraja, a god-king, the living bridge between heaven and earth. His authority was divine, his rule absolute. Every inscription declared the same truth. To honor the temple was to sustain the universe. To defy the king was to defy the gods. Even then, whispers persisted. Fragments of palm leaf manuscripts spoke of perfection too great for mortal hands, of chambers sealed by royal decree, of rituals performed in darkness unseen by common eyes. They told of foundations that demanded more than stone. Long dismissed as myth, these stories gained new weight when the radar scans confirmed the impossible. The world's awareness of Angkor Wat began not with an archaeologist, but with a dying French naturalist named Henri Mouhot. In January 1860, he stumbled upon the ruins while exploring Cambodia's jungles. The air was heavy and wet. Leeches clung to skin. Disease crept to the camp fever by fever. For weeks, he hacked through the wilderness, following rumors from hunters and monks. His guides warned that the forest felt wrong, too still, too ancient. Then the trees parted, revealing a moat so wide he could barely see its far shore. Beyond it rose towers of carved stone like a mountain of gods. In his journal, published posthumously, Muhat wrote in wonder, "One of these temples, a rival to that of Solomon, erected by some ancient Michelangelo, might take an honorable place beside our most beautiful buildings. It is grander than anything left us by Greece or Rome." Yet beneath his wonder was unease. His sketches documented not only the beauty of the temple, but its mysteries too. Block corridors, rubble-filled passageways, sealed doorways carved without inscription. Some of the paths seemed to go down only to end, as if the builders changed their minds or were hiding something. In one margin, Muhat scrawled a question that would haunt scholars for generations. Why close what was meant to be entered? When his journals arrived in Paris in 1863, they set Europe's imagination afire. Angkor Wat became the grail for explorers and treasure hunters, scholars of all types. Expeditions flocked to the jungle. Some came in search of glory, others for gold. But a few were seeking answers to Muhat's question. The Louvre sent Orientalists, British surveyors armed with innovative mapping tools. Photographers toted fragile glass plate cameras to capture what words could not. Each mission added fragments to the puzzle measurements that didn't seem to align. Chambers deliberately filled architectural details that served no purpose. Answers remained elusive. For those who lived in Angkor's shadow, however, the mystery was never forgotten. Generations of farmers had avoided planting near certain temple walls. They spoke of hollow echoes rising from the earth after monsoon rains, of soft ground that sank beneath their feet as if something deep below had collapsed inward. Buddhist monks once warned pilgrims never to linger near the central sanctuary after dark, insisting that the stones there were restless. When French colonial surveyors arrived in the late 19th century, they dismissed such tales as superstition. But their own records soon began to suggest otherwise. Topographic maps showed strange, symmetrical depressions in the ground, too uniform to be natural erosion and too deep to be mere subsidence. Survey reports described equipment malfunctions at specific sites, lanterns sputtering out despite calm air, compasses spinning erratically, workers struck by sudden fevers and tormented by nightmares so vivid they refused to return. Several early maps were later reported lost from administrative archives, erasing key portions of Angkor's subterranean geography, whether by accident or design. The temple's own symbolism only deepened the mystery. Naga serpents, multi-headed cobras that mark the boundary between worlds, appear constantly in Khmer architecture. They guard bridges, line stairways, and at Angkor Wat they frame sealed doorways in the lower galleries, fangs bared, eyes fixed outward. In both Hindu and Buddhist cosmology, Nagas are guardians of the underworld, protectors of treasures and secrets too dangerous for mortals. Their presence above blocked passages seemed deliberate, a warning. Villagers long believed that disturbing such thresholds would bring catastrophe, floods, droughts, plagues. These were not metaphors. In 1904, a minor excavation near the Western Gallery collapsed, killing 3 workers. The dig was abandoned. In 1923, a similar attempt ended with the lead archaeologist's sudden illness and death within a week. His note spoke an oppressive presence and air that should not be breathed. The incidents were recorded, then quietly buried in academic footnotes. Archaeology moved on, but the fear remained. For a century, Angkor Wat's secrets lay hidden beneath a jungle so dense that entire structures vanished into it. Temples became hills, moats became swamps, and the wilderness reclaimed what the empire had built. Then, in the 1990s, technology changed everything. LiDAR, light detection and ranging, used airborne laser pulses to map terrain with centimeter-level precision, penetrating the jungle canopy to reveal what lay below. When Australian archaeologist Damien Evans led LiDAR missions over Angkor between 2012 and 2015, the scans uncovered a metropolis beyond imagination. Roads stretched in perfect grids for miles, canals laced a landscape like veins, and vast reservoirs emerged from the data, embankments still visible beneath centuries of sediment. Angkor was not a mere temple complex. It was a megacity, one of the largest pre-industrial urban centers ever built, rivaling medieval London or Baghdad. But the scans also revealed something else. Beneath the central sanctuary of Angkor Wat lay geometric voids, rectangular, symmetrical, too precise to be natural. Density readings showed the stone that was denser than the temple above, implying reinforced construction built for permanence. Debate erupted. Some scholars suggested foundation pits or ritual caches. Others proposed sealed chambers, royal tombs, or repositories of sacred texts. Yet the geometry was too deliberate, the reinforcement too extreme. This was no cache. It was a vault built to last forever. In 2016, a joint Cambodian-French team used ground-penetrating radar to investigate further. The data revealed corridors, not cracks or erosion tunnels, but carved passages with parallel walls and right angles, extending at least 15 meters down before the signal failed. Chamber-like voids appeared at intervals, their proportions suggesting careful design. At the lowest point, radar detected a vast rectangular cavity reinforced with heavy stone blocks unlike anything visible above. This was no accident. This was architecture. But the field work soon turned nightmarish. Equipment malfunctioned without cause. GPR units failed near specific areas, only to work again elsewhere. A generator caught fire unexpectedly. Steel tools bent or snapped against certain stones as though the rock resisted disturbance. Batteries drained in minutes. Cameras captured strange geometric shadows invisible to the eye. Notebooks left overnight were found damp and stuck together despite dry weather. As the team cleared packed earth from a lower gallery, they uncovered hidden bas-reliefs. Nagas coiled around human figures, devouring them whole. Inscriptions in archaic Khmer read, "What sleeps below must not wake. The blood sustains balance. Do not open what the gods have sealed." Local workers refused to continue, citing ancestral warnings that disturbing the forbidden chambers would curse not just individuals, but the land itself. Yet Dr. Elise Fournier, the French archaeologist leading the project, pressed on, guided by radar data. Her team began excavating a section of floor in the lowest gallery, where patterns suggested a sealed threshold. By June 2018, they found it, a sandstone slab weighing nearly 2 tons, sealed with mortar mixed from ash, resin, and animal fat. Removing it took 2 weeks. When at last the slab lifted, a rush of stale, metallic air spilled forth, carrying the faint scent of decay. A staircase descended into darkness. Fournier led the way down the worn steps, spiraling through a narrow corridor carved with overlapping warnings in Sanskrit and Khmer. The foundation requires sacrifice. Blood binds a stone. What is given below sustains what rises above. The passage ended at another door, this one bronze, corroded green yet intact, covered in sigils and images of kneeling figures with bound hands and bared throats. At its center gleamed a glyph meaning consecration through death. One of the Cambodian liaisons, Safi, whispered, "We should not open this." Fournier did. The bronze door swung open as if newly oiled, and the darkness beyond swallowed their light. The chamber was circular, 12 meters across, with walls curving inward toward a domed ceiling. But the floor froze them in place. Bones, hundreds of them, arranged in concentric rings around a central black altar. Femurs forming the outer circle, ribs layered like petals, skulls marking the cardinal points. This was not burial. It was ritual. Forensic analysis confirmed the truth. The remains bore signs of violent death, fractures from restraint, and cuts made at the moment of execution. Wrist bones still bore traces of plant fiber bindings. These people had been bound, killed, and arranged while the blood was still warm. At the center stood the altar, carved from a black stone unlike any other in Angkor Wat, its surface stained by a central groove that drained into floor channels. Bronze vessels sat at its corners, and residue analysis later confirmed they once held human and animal blood, cattle, pigs, and an unidentified avian species. It was a site of mass sacrifice. The walls bore Sanskrit inscriptions, the sacred language of ritual.